introducing yourself, what your position is. Just that, just so you have it. You never know if you just want it as a review for later if you ever just do it again, so on, so
right. I'm Michael Anderson. I'm one of the founders, and the chairman of NewCon.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today, Mike. NewCon looks great. This is our first time showing up. We'd heard some great things from some of your ambassadors who attended KomoriCon earlier in 2015. And we're very happy to have been able to come out here. Thank you so much for extending press pass coverage to us. It's been great. So I guess my first question to ask is, what inspired you to start NewCon?
So there's kind of a lot of major shows in Portland. You got KomoriCon, and they're doing the big anime thing, and they're growing bigger every year. Rose City come in, they're doing massive things with comics. You got GearCon doing steampunk, Oricon doing sci-fi fantasy. So you got a single major show for each subgenre. But if most fans are like I am, I love me some Star Trek, I love me some sci-fi, I love me some anime. So we wanted to show that all of those fandoms could come together, because normally people aren't a nerd in just one way. So that's what the idea for NewCon. And then we're like, what do we do on New Year's as nerds? Well, we go out to bars, people go out to bars, maybe we go take in a show, but really there isn't anything very centric to like the fan culture on New Year's. So even though we're a little bit before, a little bit after, kind of rotating around that New Year's weekend, it's kind of like, here's a way to celebrate the new year and everything fandom, bring everybody together, and then throughout the year people can go to those bigger shows.
What was your turnout this year, and what has it been last year?
So the turnout this year, don't have final counts now, but we're sitting at, including single day passes, about 1,601 attendees was our last count. Last year we were sitting right around 1,300 attendees. So we've kind of grown quite a bit. Like, this is our fourth year. We went from 350 to about 690 to a huge jump to like 12, 13, and then this year we're around the 15 mark, which is like really great. Like, it's market growth each year.
Of course, 15% growth, nothing wrong with that. Fantastic. And then they say that successful people envision the outcome from the get-go. Where do you see NewCon heading?
It's very true that you envision the destination from the get-go. So when we started it, our vision was a fully realized vendor and artist alley. Guests like Steve Blum was actually a person. Steve Blum was a person we mentioned from the beginning. We want to get to a point where we can have him. So obviously this year we've kind of accomplished our first set of goals, so kind of like a phase one. So now our real big vision is diversifying. Like, we love anime culture. We have a lot of that. We have a lot of American animation. We bring in a lot of big voice guests. But to really hit what we want to do with all those fandoms, what we're looking at is going out there, bringing in more comic guests, bringing in a little bit more stuff from film, and really just diversifying. So we're kind of a couple more years out, what we're looking at is having a convention that has those fully realized like tracks through the programming. So if you're really into film, you can follow it, maybe jump off, do some anime stuff. But that way it's not just an anime con with a different slogan. It's truly a mixture, or like our slogan currently is, something for every flavor of nerd.
That's what sets you guys apart, and I love that. This was a totally different vibe than any other convention I've gone to, and other than I think it's NewCon, I hit every single convention in Washington. I've just started to come into Portland. This has been a great first experience as far as Portland conventions go. How do you pick any new events on a yearly basis?
Pick any new events?
Events you add in to the schedule.
Oh, so what we do is I work really closely with Harrison Warner, our director of programming. And so how we really pick what we add and what we do is we have a very thorough system. Our panel moderators, they sit in the panels and they don't just like take notes. They really kind of get an idea of what people like, what time slots it works in. So when we're bringing in new events, it's a lot of like seeing what works. Like, we'll try something new, just kind of throw it out there, and if they have big reception, then we bring in more things like that. And we also, when we travel, because we promote out at other events, we try to attend as much content as we can. If something's really spot on, we'll approach the people who run that content and go, hey, have you ever thought about coming to NewCon? So that's also another way we try to pick in and bring in that content. And then the final way is we really are something for the fans. So we put out a couple different forums throughout the year online just saying, hey, what did you like? What didn't you like? What would you like to see? And then we take that very seriously. Every criticism, every negative, and every positive. And we really just kind of weigh that. And when we're making selections, really kind of feel what the fans want the best we can.
And then finally, do you have any goals for next year? Any short-term stuff you're just looking forward to? Anything in the works?
Kind of accomplished our main goal because just how the years work and when the weekend falls. Next year we're actually New Year's Eve. We're the 30th, the 31st, and the 1st. So we will be able to do a big ball dropping ceremony. We'll be able to do a countdown. So NewCon 5 is going to be the first NewCon that is actually New Year's, and that's how we kind of picked our name, was New Year's Con. So we're going to finally accomplish that like initial dream of ours to be on the New Year's weekend. So that's like the huge point. So going from there, the next thing is just to figure out what guests we want to bring in. We brought in Dante Bosco last year. We had Troy Baker and Steve Bloom this year. An internet sensation like Mr. Creepypasta, he has got 1 million viewers. He was here this year. So next year it's also finding a guest that's on that same caliber, because these guests are really candid with us. They do special things. Dante did poetry. Troy played a concert set. So we want to not just bring in guests, because like anybody out there, like Troy comes to the Northwest, Steve comes to the Northwest, they come here and they do these things at a bunch of different events throughout over the years, but we want it as a special experience. Troy doesn't play a concert at every event he goes to, so it's finding a guest and finding that right guest who will also do something a little bit special in this more intimate setting, because having less people is a perk in that we can kind of create a more intimate setting. And so our big goal is to find those guests that can kind of bring that experience.
You really hit the nail on the head when you mentioned intimacy. I mean, I went to a few panels. I missed more than I wish I had. And this convention has something that the others don't. And it really gets down to the core. There's something beyond the normal narratives of just the human experience. I mean, some of these got very personal, and that was insane. That was amazing. Was that something that was ever in the works as planned, or was it just a byproduct of the process or of the design of this convention?
It's really a byproduct. It's a very positive one that we fostered it once we realized kind of what we had there. Mm-hmm. So a lot of our heads are people who have attended cons for a long time, but we didn't come from another convention where we had a bunch of staffing experience. Mm-hmm. So we kind of come in with a different approach. And sometimes it's created setbacks because, it's learning, it's baby steps. But at the same time, because we are learning, we're able to adapt in a different way and create a different experience. And we've tried to foster that experience because some con chairs aren't really accessible, and that's great. It works for the design. And at a larger show, the chair is probably sitting in an office most of the time, putting out fires from a back room. Being intimate, I'm out there talking to people. Harrison's out there literally able to go, hey, you just came out of this event. What did you think about it? And he's not just somebody finding programming. He put together the lip sync battle we're doing this year. So, and Manny, who's in charge of our relations, he put together really intimate packages to really makes it special for the guests because they're coming to a smaller show. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of it's just a byproduct of us being so involved and so passionate about it. Mm-hmm. And then once we realized that was something that people were responding to, we've definitely tried to foster that and keep that vibe intact. Like, it's very important for us to keep that intimate feeling. And even as we get bigger, we want people to come here and just still feel like it's like kind of a small, good experience, a good positive small experience, because it can get overwhelming at the bigger shows. When they go up to the bigger shows, you're probably going to stay in your core friend group. We want to be a place where when people come, you can kind of connect with people because it's smaller, it's a little more laid back, I guess.
Explore new aspects of their fandom even. Fantastic. That's all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to entertain us here and answer some questions about NewCon. This has been a great experience. We really appreciate you, again, extending those press passes. Thank you so much. Do you have anything else you'd like to leave folks with?
No, I think I just touched on it a little bit earlier when I said we're going to be on New Year's weekend. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to come to the event and cover the event, because getting that coverage is really great. It gets honest opinions about the event out there, because anything we're going to say is obviously going to sound positive and sound great, but when people come and cover it, they can really just kind of show their experience, and that is great to see. The only real big announcement I want to say, other than the New Year's weekend, is we're going to be moving venues from the DoubleTree next year. So we're going to be going across the river to the Waterfront Marriott, which is a gorgeous hotel. It's been fully renovated, so it's a bigger space, a more modular space. So we're going to be able to provide content on an even more immersive level than we are able to do at the DoubleTree. And the DoubleTree's been wonderful, but we're going to grow into this new larger space as we grow and do that on the New Year's weekend. So again, thank you for coming to the show. It's really, really great to have you here.
Fantastic. Thank you so much
for
taking your time, sir.
Thank you.
All right.